Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I've tried to record this video like 10 times already. The reason that is one, because I sound like a therapist every time I go back and I watch it. Second, it's difficult to find the words to say when it comes to this video. The topic I want to cover is how to improve at ESO PvP. This is difficult to talk about simply because a player can have a lot of aspects to their gameplay that they need to improve upon, or they can have very few. That's why it's difficult to nail down exactly what it is. So in order to try and remedy that, I'm going to talk about the mindset that I have when it comes to ESO PvP and what I did to improve at ESO PvP. I have a video on my channel similar to this, but it's how to improve at ESO's combat rather than what mindset that you should have when it comes to this game. Because I want to focus on the mentality that I think players should have if they want to get better at ESO PvP. If you want to find that video, how to improve at ESO PvP's combat, I'll have it linked at the end of the video, or you can just go find it on my channel. But regardless, many people consider me to be a good player at this game. I consider myself to be, at best, above average when it comes to this game. So I guess that does put me in a position where I can make a video like this. But anyways, this video, it's aimed at a player who genuinely wants to improve at ESO PvP. And if you're just a casual player and you don't really care about that, that's fine. But you're not going to get too much out of this video because this video is going to be fairly information heavy for those that want to get better at this game. So without further ado, I guess let's begin. I think the right place to start is with the beginner's mentality with this game, and that's the mentality of run away from all fights and you're kind of scared to die. That's not the mentality that you want to have with this game. You can't just dip your toe in the water and then say you've experienced all of it. You have to keep both feet in the water, and you have to really go through the PvP experience. Dying is a part of this game, as it is with many other games PvP related, like Call of Duty and other titles such as that. But for this game, that's a fact too. You're not going to go into PvP and then just become a prodigy day one. That's not going to happen. Likely, you're going to be like me. You're going to get 1vx'd on your first day. And depending on how you take it will determine whether or not you're going to be playing PvP for a very long time, or you're not going to be playing it at all. For me, I took it as, I want to do that someday. I want to be that one guy that's fighting 20 people at once. For a lot of other people, it's they just give up and they don't try. And I think the biggest important part that we need to establish out of the gate is, one, don't give up. Keep both of your feet in the water instead of just dipping your toe in there and saying you've experienced it all. And second, have a goal to shoot for. Like I said, I wanted to be that guy that was going to do the fighting of 20 people at once. I think that's very important, is to have a goal, something to strive for. Whether it's to be a very good duelist or to be a guy who's fighting outnumbered in open world, have something that you want to try and accomplish while you're playing PvP. The next part I want to talk about in this game is something that I feel like a lot of people nowadays are bringing into ESO, and it's really causing a problem with a lot of people's improvement to this game, and that's having an ego when it comes to this game. I'm guilty of having an ego, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I like to think that sometimes I'm the bestest player in the world, but then I get a reality check and I'm like, okay, there's stuff I can still work on. And that's the mindset that you need to have, is understand that there are always going to be players out there who are a lot better than you. Because if you always consider yourself to be the bestest player of ESO of all time, well, then what is there for you to learn? What is there for you to improve upon when it comes to this game? You already know everything, so why improve if you're already the best? Having that mindset and understanding that there's always going to be bigger fish in the water is very good when it comes to being able to improve at ESO PvP, because unlike someone who's going to get killed by a player who's actually better than them, you will take the time from each death to look at what you did wrong and see how you can improve, so the next time you get in an encounter like that, you're able to win. If you let your ego get in the way of that, instead of learning from that experience, you'll just sit there complaining about how you got killed. I understand that in poor performance and while trying to fight cheesy, uncounterable playstyles, that it can be very difficult to figure out exactly what you did wrong in order to improve. I get that, and I always end up getting upset by poor performance, because when I'm trying to learn and notice what I did wrong, all I see is how bad the game is actually functioning, and I can't actually grow. But for the times you do genuinely end up getting outplayed, you'll be able to know, and just take the time, instead of getting mad, to learn from what you did wrong and be able to apply it to the next time you end up in that situation. If you never end up accepting that there are always bigger fish in the water, you'll never be able to improve at ESO PvP, so you gotta let that ego of yours go. If you don't have an ego, that's great. We can move on to the next step. Like I said, it is very important for you to understand what you did wrong in a situation and how you could improve upon it. I understand this can be difficult for some people, so what I would recommend in order to remedy this is to record your gameplay, sit down with it, and while you're watching back over it, pretend to narrate it like you're getting featured in the top 5 or whatever. As you do this, you'll try and make sense of the moves that you make, and you'll for sure see some places where you're falling off. And eventually, you do this enough, you'll start to be able to implement it while you're actually playing the game. So you won't have to record it anymore. You'll just be able to make these decisions on the go, and it'll be very effective for you and your ability to improve at playing ESO PvP. The next thing that I would recommend doing in order to improve at ESO PvP is to have a bunch of different playstyles and to play a bunch of different classes. It's okay to have a main, it's okay to have something to fall back on when you're just having a tough time and you just want to play some ESO PvP and not worry about things. But if you want to get better at ESO PvP, don't main your main all the time. Switch between a bunch of different classes, bunch of different playstyles, switch things up, try different builds and try new things. The more playstyles you experience, the more playstyles you will understand how to counter, because you'll know all the little stops and all the little tricks that other people will try to pull on you, which automatically gives you an advantage while you're trying to fight that playstyle. There are playstyles I would recommend avoiding though. I'm not saying you don't have to ever play them. You can dabble in them and you can play with them and you can have fun with them, but there are playstyles I would highly recommend avoiding if you actually want to get better at the game. These playstyles would be just playing the meta all the time. The meta is designed to do a lot of work with as little player input as possible, so basically the build does all the work for you. And healers and tanks. I wouldn't recommend playing supporting roles if you want to get better at this game. I'm not saying there aren't good tanks and healers. I'm saying the builds are so one-sided when it comes to those roles that you're not going to learn anything, because it all just really comes down to the build craft when we're talking about tanks and healers. And the last thing I would recommend not doing is being a smurf. Take it from me when I say this, because I was a smurf at one point. Being a smurf, you're not going to learn how to play the game or get any better at it. Simply put, because you're fighting players that don't know anything about the game themselves and they're not offering any real challenge. You can't make the argument saying, oh, I only ever fight other smurfs below 50. Sure, they're smurfs, but you're not actually fighting anyone of notable skill simply because they're killing the exact same players that you are. And it's not a battle of who has more skill than the other person, it's a battle of who has the better gear than the other person because of the broken power scaling system below 50 PvP. So if you are going to do any below 50 PvP at any point, just do be aware that there are players below 50 PvP who gold out their gear completely, play fully developed builds, and they just go in there to ruin people's day because they need to stroke their ego. I know I was one of them, but I never took it to the extreme that I've seen recently, so just be aware of that. The next thing that I would recommend doing in order to improve at ESO PvP is getting involved in a community of some sort. Doesn't matter if it's a guild, doesn't matter if it's a Discord, and doesn't matter if it's on a YouTube channel like this one, but getting involved in an ESO PvP community of some kind is very important for you to be able to grow as an individual player. I myself never took advantage of these community things. This is an MMO after all, but I never took advantage of all of the community options that I had access to, and ever since I started making YouTube videos and I started joining communities since then, I've learned so much about ESO that I never would have thought of. Like, you have no idea how critical it's been for me to be involved in any sort of community. I've grown so much as a player because I've learned so much just being in a community. You're going to be on top of updates. You're also going to be able to share things with other people. There's a lot of information going around in communities. Not to mention, you'll make some amazing friends and you'll meet some amazing people, which is always just the best and the greatest thing ever. And I can't recommend it enough. If you don't have a YouTube channel and you're watching this, make one. If you don't have a Discord account and you're watching this, go and make one. And if you're not in a PvP guild of any kind, I'd recommend and go find one, because all that you'll get from being social and just being involved in a community is extremely valuable. I understand I'm not the most sociable person in the world and I have trouble approaching people, but you'll find that a lot of the time the people that you end up meeting, they're very nice and they're very welcoming. Especially if you're newer to the game, people will want to help you, and it's just very amazing to be involved in an ESO PvP community of some sort. The biggest piece of advice that I would give to someone who's looking to improve at ESO PvP is to use your brain. A lot of people seem to forget this part of anything, like using your brain. You have one for a reason. You don't go into a chess match and not think about the moves that you're going to make. You don't take a test and just guess all the answers unless you want to fail. You use your brain. Use your brain when you come and you play this game. If you want to 1vx, use your brain. If you want to do well while fighting people, use your brain. Think about the moves that you're making. Think about why you're doing what you're doing. Think about the best way to utilize your build and the tools on your tool belt when it comes to fighting anyone in this game. You can also use this to make things and open up opportunities for yourself by baiting people out or, playing defensive and being able to get out of tough situations. Use your brain. This is a big fundamental aspect of ESO PvP that if I would have applied to myself long ago, I would have started improving a lot sooner. But a lot of people just seem to forget this part, and this is why I am telling you now, use your brain. It is the best weapon that you have. You can have a strong build, you can have really good skill at the game, but if you're not using your brain, you're not going to have much when it comes to being able to perform at a very reasonable level in this game. Hopefully that proves my point by now, but if you're still not sold somehow, think about why you watch build videos. It's because you want to know what kind of build is working for other people. Think about why you go to videos like this one on how to improve at ESO PvP, because you want to know how to improve at ESO PvP. Utilizing your brain is the best tool that you have in order to find success in any venture, even if it's real life. I mean, daggum, application from a video game to real life, but it's true. Using your brain is the best thing that you can do if you want to improve at ESO PvP. And it's the underlying tone for this entire video. Just use your brain, and once you figure out how to use it and apply yourself properly, you'll find a lot of success wherever you go and whatever you do with this. But the other thing is, I know some people, they just don't want to use their brain. They struggle to use their brain. It's not for everyone. At least use your brain in some capacity to make a build that can help you get around the non-usage of your brain, okay? See, if you use your brain, you will be able to understand what I just said. I'm not saying you have to be some super uber nerd and you have to know everything and be a brainiac when it comes to this game. I'm telling you to just apply your brain and turn it on. I know a lot of people play this game casually. They turn their brain off because they just want to relax and chill. That's fine, but at least use your brain for some intervals of this game, whether it's making a build so you can turn your brain off and play well, or it's, just using your brain so that way you can get a good clip if you want to have a good clip for some reason. Like for me, I gotta turn my brain on if I want to get some good clips. I gotta keep my brain on if I'm streaming, unless I'm just doing something very relaxing like hanging out with a friend when I play this game. And that's about all I gotta say when it comes to using your brain. And in this case, knowledge is power. Remember that, okay? Last thing I want to talk about is being respectful to people in ESO. I shouldn't have to say this, but a lot of the time people just play this game so they can step on other people. What I'm saying is, people take things too far when it comes to using their brain or whatever the heck it is. They take the knowledge that they learn and they just use it to destroy other people. Whether it's for them to find some self-gratification or something like that, I don't know. But a lot of people nowadays also seem to not play this game to have fun. They play this game to be overly competitive, and if you're sweating all the time, you're not going to find an enjoyable experience in ESO. So just be aware of that. You're playing for some other reason. So slow down. If you want my advice, slow down and just take a step back. And this is why I sound like a therapist. And one final massive note, this should also be kind of a given. It's that this is going to take some time. You're not going to become, like I said in the beginning, a prodigy overnight. It's not going to happen. No, this could take you years to get right. It's undetermined how long this could take you, but hopefully this video can help speed that up. But do be aware, you're probably going to be put away for like a couple months trying to figure these things out. But like I said, hopefully this helps speed everything up. But yeah, that has been my How to Improve at ESO PvP guide. Mentality edition guide thing. Listen, I did not expect this video to be so difficult to make, but in recording it and just listening back to it, I sound like an insane person, at least in my opinion. Hopefully you guys found some value from this video and it really helped you guys. If it did help you out, please consider leaving a like on this video. And if you're still watching to this point and for some reason you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel, please. And because I do other weird, silly things that you might enjoy. Anyways, like I said, if you want to visit the How to Improve at ESO PvP combat video, I'll have it linked at the end of this video. Do note, that was when my editing skills were just starting to take off, and I had never really worked on a massive project before. That was my first really big project, so I'm sorry for the quality of it, but yeah, if you want a little bit more information about how to improve at ESO PvP, I guess you can go marathon that too. So, having said all that, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a good night.